Hey guys, we have a 24-ounce plump uh, tumbler. Okay guys, we are starting with a 24-ounce plump tumbler. These are from the Steel Magnolia. That's where I get almost all my tumblers from. And we are going to start this fun project, and we are going to do some sanding first, okay? So to prep them, I always like to use 220 grit sandpaper, okay? Just put the cup on your hand and just sand, okay? You want to get off anything that's like on the surface that has the manufacturer's put on that could resist your paint or product. So I just hold it in my hand, go around several times, okay? Make sure I've got my edges and the bottom. And then also, you do want to sand the full bottom of it, okay? So make sure it's sanded well. And then when you're done sanding, we are going to take some isopropyl alcohol, okay? So some isopropyl 91% or higher alcohol. I've already got it in a spray bottle, okay? And I'm just going to spray this on there and then clean it off, okay? So once you get it all cleaned off, make sure you're getting it. See how it just come off, okay? So make sure it's clean. Make sure you allow it to dry. And then we're going to go ahead and put our base coat on. And so that I can work on this well, these are our handles that fit on our turner, okay? So that way you can hold on to this, make sure that you've got everything off, okay? So there's nothing from your hands, and then you can put it onto your turner, okay? So that'll hold it for you in between all the different techniques that you need to do. The next thing we're gonna do is put on our Mondego, which is a paint and primer all in one. I'm using black. And you always want to stir this stuff super well, okay? Before you use it. So make sure I'm gonna put this over here for a second, out of my way. Okay, I'm gonna stir it really good. You always want to stir this stuff up well. You don't want to use it until it has been stirred. And then I'm just going to grab an artist brush. So just grab yourself an artist brush, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this out onto my palette, okay? I keep using the same foam plates, I think, over and over again. I'm going to put that out of my way in case I need it. And then I'm going to take this back off my handle so that I can hold it. And we are going to paint every part of this, okay? So you're going to paint the bottom. And one of the reasons I love working with Mondego, you guys, is it is a paint and primer all in one. So you want to get this painted on here, okay? You're going to get on 100%. Make sure you're trying to brush out your brush strokes really super well. Make sure everything is smooth and neat. So just take your time, paint your project, or I should say paint your tumbler, This is your base coat. You want it to look neat. This is also your adhesion to the surface. So you want to make sure 100% is covered. And then once you have everything covered, just check the bottom again and make sure everything looks okay. I hit that one spot, so I'm going to clean that back up. And then we're going to put it on here to dry, okay? So you're going to let this dry completely. It may take at least an hour. The longer you allow things to dry, always the better. So a little extra dry time is not bad. Okay, as my arms go across here and I get everything ready. Okay, so we're going to let this dry and we will be back in a few minutes. Okay, we're back for some really fun part of this. We are actually going to be transferring this design onto our cup, okay? So we are going to do that part right now because we're waiting for everything else to dry. So I have a laminator plugged in. It's on hot and it's ready to go, okay? And what we're going to do is put a couple extra pieces of paper in here. I've got some paper that I have just opened up, and now I'm going to cut a piece of foil to go on there. So almost all of our foils are what are called toner friendly, okay? Toner reactive foils. So you can print just about anything on a laser printer, and that image has used toner to create it onto the paper, and then going through a laminator. And there are special laminators for this process. Oops, I didn't cut big enough. Okay, let's cut that again. Let's see if we can do better. I need to go a little bit bigger. I gotta be almost the size of this paper, okay? So let's try that again. Trying not to cut anything else in the meantime. But the foils react to toner when you have toner reactive foils, and you have to cut this or have to print it on a laser printer, okay? So let's see if I cut that correct. And we're just putting this inside there. Want to cover the whole design, okay? And then I'm going to put a couple more pieces of paper on top just to give it a little bit more thickness. And then we're going to do running it through our laminator a couple of times, okay? So I'm just going to put this right in the front, and it slowly goes through the laminator, okay? And we're going to put this through twice because we want to make sure that our print is absolutely perfect, okay? So we'll run it through the laminator twice. You can see it's coming out now, okay? And so this is what the heat is helping to transfer the foil to the design. So we just have to be patient for this process and let it come through. And like I said, I'm going to do it twice. So I'm probably going to speed up the video so you don't have to sit here and watch this so slowly go through. The reason why I'm going twice is normally you'll get a better transfer. And like I said, there are machines that are laminators that are designed directly for this. And one of them is called, I believe, a mink laminator. I just have a regular laminator. So we were just hoping that this would work, and it actually does work pretty darn good. So once this comes all the way out, okay, I'm going to place it back in the front again, and I'm going to let it go through one more time. So we know that this is slow and kind of painful to watch, but it is the process of transferring the foil to the toner that was on the paper. Okay, we're almost there with our second pass. And foils are what are called a cool release. So we are going to turn that off, put this someplace safe, out of the way. And you don't want to pull this off until it cools, okay? So I'm going to pull it out. And you can see that the design has transferred, okay? So it definitely has transferred it, and we're just going to leave that and let it cool off for a minute. And while we're waiting for that to cool off, we are going to cut what's called sticky paper, okay? So I'm going to get out my cutter. I want to cut this at approximately a little under 8 inches, and I'm cutting it perfect because I need it to be, okay? So I'm going to be a little shy of the 8-inch mark, and we're going to cut that off, okay? So this is going to give us a piece of sticky, double-sided sticky tape, okay? And I think we're just about ready to try this, okay? So we're going to pull back just a little bit, okay? Just to reveal. It, okay? Just so that you can get started. And I'm going to just get a soft cloth to put the tumbler on. So we are going to try to line this up so we have it on here as perfect as we can get it. If it's a little shy of the top and bottom, that's going to be okay. But we want to try to get this on straight, okay? And I'm just going to test and see, but that looks like that's going to go on pretty perfect. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to release from underneath, okay? As I'm releasing from underneath, I'm just going to go ahead and push on the tape, okay? This is double-sided sticky tape. So I think they're called sticky sheets, okay? So I'm trying to get it on there nice and smooth, so I'm going to take my time and get this transferred. Now, there is a reason why I'm doing this technique with sticky tape, is because it's going to cause a chemical reaction between the sticky tape and the foil adhesive, and we're going to need that chemical reaction to happen because we're going to be transferring the carrier sheet and not the piece of paper that I use the toner to transfer the design. So that'll make sense here shortly, okay? But we want this on as neat as we can, okay? So just be patient, pull off the backing a little at a time, and just keep pushing it on. And I'm so thrilled at how nice and straight I got this, okay? That's not my norm, guys. But this technique works really great so that you're just pulling it off a little at a time. Make sure that you're going to seam up where it's going to overlap a little bit, or right about that amount, okay? And let's see, I think we ended up with a little bit of an overlap here. So we're going to want to cut that off, okay? So let's hopefully have here a good sharp blade. And if this blade's not sharp, I'm going to go ahead and snap it so that we have a clean blade to use, okay? And I'm just going to try and score that right on that seam. And let's try to remove that excess, okay? I didn't score all the way through. There we go. I score a little tougher here, okay? Sticky tape is super sticky, okay? So now we are covered, okay? And not too bad. I'm a little off here, okay? But I don't think anybody's going to probably notice that in the end. We can get rid of our carrier sheet. And then we're going to put this aside for a second because we're going to pull out our design, okay? So this is our design that we just did. And remember how I said you want to wait for it to cool off so it's nice and cool. And then you're going to do the peel and reveal, okay? And hopefully that we're going to get a nice transfer here. And most of it transferred pretty good, okay? So what we're going to use though is we're going to use this piece, okay, in our transfer design. So we're going to put that aside, okay? So see how cool that is? We're going to use the transfer paper, and some of it did stick, okay, into the clear area, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and work with that. That means I probably needed to run it through again or do it multiple times. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece of foil. This is going to be our base color. I'm just going to make sure I've got a piece big enough. This is called Layla, and I picked Layla because it also has that blue tone in it. So I figured this blue would look gorgeous over it and bring out all the blues. So this is what it's going to look like once we get it onto the cup. So we'll have this layered technique, which will be absolutely stunning. Okay, so we're going to put that aside still, okay? We'll use that in a little bit as my fan keeps blowing everything. So this is the design that we're going to put on there. And we're again, let's see if I can get a little pick. Where's my pick tool? Okay, we're just going to pick off the backing, which is going to leave. Okay, we're just going to pull it back so we can get a nice smooth transfer, okay? And you do want to rub this really good first. Make sure it's on there really good, okay? Smooth it out. That way you don't have any air bubbles or anything, okay? And let me pull that back up again. There we go. Okay, that's going to be my start so that I can get a nice transfer, okay? And I think I want to start up here. And it's only going to stick to where the sticky sheet is, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to continue to pull this off, okay, as I smooth it on. So I'm going to do it slowly again as I try to keep this nice and smooth as I transfer it on there. Okay, if we get a little wrinkle, that'll be okay, but if you do this slow, you should be able to get it nice and smooth. Look at that transfer, you guys. This is turning out so awesome. And this is great when you're trying to do a full wrap on a cup, okay? Our foil adhesive also works really well, but this is just a technique that I wanted to share with you guys because we're going to be using foil adhesive on our next layer. So again, I'm just releasing this as I go, okay? So I'm just pulling off the backing as I work around the cup, keeping it nice and smooth as I'm going. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so pretty. So we're going to smooth it on really good once I get the whole backing removed, okay? I think we're just about there. So you just got to be patient, but boy, do you get a great look here. Okay, so I'm at the seam. We have full coverage. The backing has been removed. And we are just going to go ahead and smooth it on. And this is a super easy release foil, so we might be okay with just rubbing it with a soft cloth. If not, we'll get our scrub brush out as well. And I'm just making sure it's on all the edges really well. And I was a little short, top and bottom, so we're going to have a little bit of black peeking on both parts, okay? Okay, let's peek and see how we did here. Okay, if we find that there's any place that hasn't transferred well, just put it back and rub it again, okay, in that spot. So just slowly peel and reveal and see how it's coming out. If you see anything left on the carrier sheet, the plastic that I'm pulling off, and you want to go back and fix that area, just push it right back down, and you normally can get everything to stick pretty well, okay? And this is just rubbing with my hand. That's how much of an easy release this particular foil is, okay? Okay. Keep rubbing as you're going. If you see any little specks, okay, that you feel like you just want to fill back in, we can also use our little scrub brush, okay, if we feel like we want better coverage there. Or just keep using your finger. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is coming out so beautiful. I'm just watching my top and bottom, and then also making sure that I got really, really good coverage here, okay? Because I want as much of the foil to transfer as I possibly can get. Okay, we're almost completely there. Nothing sticking there, okay. And we have the slightest of seams here, okay. So I'm even going to just pick that up and see if I can even get it to hide the seam a little bit. Oh my gosh, okay. So your foil is going to look clear, okay, when you release it. And then save your scraps, because you can always use that for another project, okay? So here we go. Look how beautiful that is. All the colors are just fabulous. It's multicolored. You've got a little bit of a floral on here. Absolutely beautiful, just stunning. And I just love the coloration. I hope you guys can see that well, because sometimes I feel like it looks a little darker than it should, okay? Okay, so now we are going to brush on our next coat and put on some foil adhesive, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can tape off top and bottom. We're going to try, okay? We're going to try. Because we only want the foil on the next layer to transfer to this edge, okay? So I'm going to try to be really careful and get right up to this edge if I can. Get this. Don't want to be over the top. You can have a little bit of a gap, but don't put the tape over the foil. Put it right next to that foil edge. And then smooth it down. Again, I don't want it on the foil. I'm going to put it right next to that edge. Almost there. And we can tear off the excess, okay? And we're just going to try to make sure that we're nice and smooth, okay? And we're going to do this to the bottom as well, okay? The bottom might be a little trickier. Don't have as much room. So be patient. You got barely an edge. You can always cut your sticky sheet a little smaller and give yourself a little bit more room on top and bottom to tape off as well. Okay, tear that piece of tape. Let's try to make sure we're nice and smooth here. And then just push that edge down good, so hopefully our foil adhesive does not leak out. Okay, so we have our Artsyville foil adhesive that we're going to be putting on our next layer, okay? And I'm going to get some out of my big container. We're going to be using an art brush to apply this. So grab some out of your big container, okay? Put it on what we call a sticky plate, because we're going to add a little bit of water to this. We want to make sure we got plenty. I'm sure I do. And we're going to spray just a tiny bit of water, okay? And mix that in. So it's going to thin it down a little bit, and when it thins it down, it just helps it to brush a little smoother, okay? But my bucket has gotten a little older, so mine is probably thicker than most, okay? And now we're just going to go ahead and put on full coverage. So you're going to brush on a full layer of the foil adhesive. Try to make sure your brush strokes are nice and neat. Want 100% coverage. The foil adhesive is our normal process for transferring our foils. This stuff goes on milky white and then dries perfectly clear, shiny, and super sticky, okay? But we need that good stickiness to be able to transfer our next layer. And the next layer that I'm going to be transferring, we're going to be transferring the entire sheet, okay? We're not going to remove the carrier. And for one basic reason, it's going to get stuck super well where the carrier is, because the chemical reaction, because foils are such a thin layer of metallization that they're able to react sometimes to what's over the top. So the sticky sheet is going to react to the foil adhesive, and anything I put over the top of this is going to want to stick super well and not want to release. Okay, so allow this to dry for at least an hour, and then we'll be back for our more of our fun stuff here. Okay, we are back for our next layer, and remember, we transferred the design to our foil using toner and a laminator, okay? So we printed that gorgeous pattern, okay, which also came off on the paper. We can use this for like decoupage. But today we're just going to use the carrier sheet, okay? And we're going to transfer this over our cup, which already has the foil adhesive on there. So I'm going to bring this into our screen here, where you should be able to see this well. And I'm going to try to line it up at the seam to start with, okay? And I'm going to just cut off so I've got a perfect edge to start with, okay? And then I'm going to test our width here, and I think we're going to be okay. Okay, so we're going to try to line this right up on the seam. so that we can stay straight. And we're going to try to not get any excess wrinkles in here if we can prevent. We're probably going to get some, okay? I already did. Let's try getting our cloth out. Okay. And slowly allowing our transfer, okay, to adhere. Trying to keep it tight so it does not lay on there until I'm ready. And even if you get a few wrinkles, it's amazing what will be hidden under the epoxy layer, okay? Okay, let's, oh, I think we've got this, we'll get that out of the way. Okay, I think we've got this to right where it should finish up there, okay? So I'm just going to try to smooth out any excess wrinkles, okay? There are definitely some wrinkles in there, but like I said, normally under epoxy, you won't see them, and you can also get in here and poke it with a little pen if you feel like you got any air bubbles, okay? You can pop out your air bubbles. So normally, you could release this, and all that would stay on here is just the actual design. But with so much of the carrier being clear and having the sticky sheet underneath, they're basically going to just permanently stick to each other, okay? So it's best to just go ahead and allow it to just stick and keep the whole carrier sheet on there, okay? I'm going to go ahead and again, see if I can find my blade. And we're going to try to cut off the excess carrier. Give myself a line here. Oops, I feel like I'm gotten off of that. It was going so well there for a second. Okay, so we only have that one seam, and I think I'm going to take this off so I can lay it down and really, really smooth it out, okay? Oh my gosh, you guys, that looks so, so amazing with all that gorgeous, rich color. That is so, so pretty. Okay, if you find that you got any air bubbles, just pop those, okay? And those should lay right back down because we got all kinds of stickiness underneath here, okay? And we want everything stuck down really, really good. So we're going to get our blade out again. And we're now going to cut away right at the edge of where the first layer of foil is. So we can get rid of the excess carrier and remove all of this. So just take your time. Be slow, don't be in a hurry. Okay, let's check and see how this is going. Okay. Okay, let's do the same thing to the bottom here. And all my layers started to take off our base primer with all this tape and adhesive sticking to it. So we can either leave that stainless, or we can go ahead and also add another layer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish up our bottom and our top edge, and then we'll put epoxy over the top of this, okay? Oh my gosh, this looks so pretty. I hope you can see the colors well. I'm trying to get this at an angle that you can see all the gorgeous reflective color. Okay, I just cleaned up my top edge by just scraping off the excess paint that was on the top. And what we're going to do is go ahead and take this outside, okay? I'm going to spray the Rust-Oleum 2X clear gloss coat over, okay? And you want to put 2 layers. Make sure you've got really good coverage. We're going to protect all of our foils, and then we will finish off the bottom. Okay, we're back for the last step. We're going to be using our Aristocat liquid glass epoxy, okay? This product is great for doing all sorts of projects. We have 2 parts. We have hardener, and we also have resin, okay? So we're going to put part B in first. I'm going to be measuring. I got lines on here, okay? So we're going to mix up 2 ounces. You want to be very precise with your measuring if you can. Epoxy should be a 50-50 mixture, which will give you the best cure. So try to make sure you always get as precise as you can, okay? I'm gloved up. We're in a very well ventilated room. And I always suggest all of that when doing epoxy, or make sure that you're also wearing a mask, and the proper type of mask if you're not in a ventilated area. You want to protect yourself. Epoxy is not good to be inhaling, okay? So I'm just looking down here and making sure that we are pretty equal there, okay? So that has our part A and our part B in there, and I've got 2 ounces of product. I'm going to start getting that stirred up. You want to stir for about 2 minutes, okay? It gives you the ability to scrape it off the sides, stir it off the bottom, okay? Make sure that it's really well mixed up. I don't care about getting air bubbles in my mixture because I'll use a heat gun to eliminate those, okay? So don't worry about any air bubbles. We'll make all those disappear at the end, okay? But take your time, stir super well, and I'm watching my clock to kind of make sure that I've got stirred it long enough. And then I'm going to add what is called diamond dust, okay? This is just a little extra sparkly. We're going to put that into our mixture. This is a super fine glitter, okay? It is just like 1 step above being a mica powder. So I'm going to stir that in really good. It's going to give it just a little extra sparkle to our epoxy pour. And then we'll get our tumbler on here and give it a nice coat and let it spin for the night. This will be the first coat. And then you can decide what else you want to do. Okay, I think we're stirred up well. I'm going to move our cup over here. I'm going to get it onto the handle all the way and locked into position. And make sure we are plugged in. Here we go. Turn on. Okay, so you'll see it starting to spin, and that is what you want to do. Okay, you want it to be spinning. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pour this on here. Use my other hand to smooth it out as it keeps moving around. Okay, as it comes back, I can grab what's already on here and move it around. So I'm not going to pour any more until I know I need more. There we go. A little bit more here. Okay. Work that around as well. So just smooth it out with your hand. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is going to be absolutely stunning. Love this process. I'm going to do the bottom as well, just to make sure there's product there. And I can always put on a second coat. We definitely have enough epoxy on here, okay? And again, I'm just going to keep moving it with my hand a little bit, making sure that we don't have it on too thick anywhere and that it's distributed. Okay, I'm just going to critique, make sure I feel like I got epoxy everywhere. And once I'm happy with that, okay, we are going to take a blowtorch. Okay, this is a big blowtorch, a very large blowtorch here, you guys. And I'm going to just hit it as it's spinning and pull out the bubbles, okay? You don't want to have the heat too close because you can possibly catch it on fire, okay? So, or scorch it. So make sure you're not too close. Okay, we're just going to let that sit and spin, and that is it. Absolutely beautiful.